Do you feel overwhelmed about starting your own private physical therapy practice? Private practice. What does it entail? In this video, we will learn about the rundown of the benefits, the drawbacks, and everything in between. But today, we have a special guest, David Bayliff, physiotherapist, master in physiotherapy of Uncaged Clinician, and we will talk about private practices for physiotherapists. So if you want to start your own private PT practice, then this video is for you. If you're watching live, thank you for joining us tonight. And if you're watching on replay, drop below #replay. And please make sure that you join the conversation by typing down your questions for our guests. This is a perfect time for you. And of course, you know me, I love those rains of hearts and likes. And sprinkle this video to your community if you know a colleague, a relative, a friend, a family member who is thinking to start a private practice and that this video may benefit them. If you want access to this show, drop also show notes and comment below and I will send it to you. So with that, remember, when I call in the guest, please let's give him a warm welcome with that huge fireworks of hearts and emojis and likes, okay? Like really fast. So he is a concierge therapist expert who works with the burnout, frustrated physical, occupational, and speech therapists who are looking for escape from the corporate healthcare and become uncaged in both the personal and professional lives. He has written The Winning Mindset for the Mobile Entrepreneur. Success starts between the ears, that offers valuable insights into overcoming limiting beliefs and self-doubt as one ventures to entrepreneurship. So now I'm gonna bring him up to the stage. Make sure we give him a warm welcome. David Bayliff, physiotherapist, master in physiotherapy of Uncaged Clinician.
Hello, Dr. Elena. It's so good to see you. I tell you what, that's got to be like probably the best intro that I've ever had, and I love your energy. I mean, I was in the green room. I was getting all pumped up because of the energy and the hype that you were bringing. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for having me on your show. It is truly an honor to be here tonight.
Oh, thank you as well. I know I pull you out from one of your meetings with your business partners. So I truly appreciate you for being here. And that, can I just go right straight? Because I'm curious on what's on your shirt. Can you show us, if you move it a little bit for our guests, what does it say? Uncaged Clinician. What does that mean,
Yeah,
David?
Uncaged Clinician. Well, as you said in the intro there, that it's part of the coaching business that I'm co-founder with, along with my partners Josh Payne and Kevin DeGroat. We're known as the Uncaged Clinician. You probably see on the wall right behind me, I got a nice photo there. It says courage, committed, confidence. But what does that mean? What is an uncaged clinician? And we look at it as really there are three key qualities, if you will, of an uncaged clinician. Number one is that they have the courage to blaze a new path. In other words, recognizing that, you know what, the sandbox isn't the only place to play on the playground. There are other things out on the playground to play in, but you know what, the establishment kind of teaches us to stay in the sandbox. So having the courage to blaze a new path, committed to a higher standard. All right. In other words, wanting to give better care. So often in healthcare, we end up in jobs where it's just the nature of the beast, if you will, where we've got maybe 10 minutes to work with someone and we address symptoms, if you will, kind of put a Band-Aid on the symptom because that's all we have time for. But we are committed to providing a higher standard of care. And then finally, it's one who has the confidence to pursue success. That's right, the confidence to pursue success. So often we hear that people are afraid of failure, and that is true, afraid of failure, but oftentimes we call it afraid of failure, but in the conversations that I've had with a lot of people, and I've talked to a heap of people, a lot of times really what it comes down to is people sometimes have a fear of success. They don't know what it looks like. And in fact, I've even had conversations with students in our program where they've said, you know what, I started seeing success and it scared me. And so I backed off. So it's having the confidence to pursue success. So that's what an uncaged clinician is.
Wow, you are truly on a mission to help our fellow physical therapists and rehab professionals. So that's really full of insights coming from you and define what is an uncaged clinician. So, a lot I know for sure are burnout, but there's a lot of things going on, right? To start a
Yeah.
private practice. But what are the benefits of starting your own private practice versus joining an established one?
Yeah. Well, and I think, well, this could lead into a couple other questions, but the value of starting your own versus working for someone else is that the reality of it is that oftentimes you put in a lot of work for someone else to make the gain. When depending on the position that you're in, the work that you're putting in could be going to your reward. And it's not that it's all about money. I mean, we all like to make money, but it's really about if you're going to want your time freedom and financial freedom and be able to create a lifestyle that you want, the best way to do that really is to create it yourself. Because the truth is that a job is not going to, particularly in healthcare, unless you're a top surgeon, a job is not going to really give you the time freedom that you want, and certainly not the financial freedom that you want. Now, I know that there are jobs out there where people say, "Well, hey, you know what? I work 8:30 to 4, and then I've got all the time in the world." But do they spend a lot of time also doing paperwork? Are they challenged with getting time off for the time off that they want? Maybe they can get it off, but do they have to ask for it 30 days in advance? Or do they have that flexibility to say, hey, you know what, tomorrow, maybe you live in the mountains and it's snowing. Hey, you know what, tomorrow's going to be a great ski day. I'm not going to see people tomorrow. I'm going to go skiing. Do you have that flexibility? Or your kid is sick. Or your kid, you find out that suddenly that your child has an event at school, right after school, and you want to be there, and it's kind of sprung on you. Do you have that ability to leave and go see that your child? So that's what I mean by time freedom and the financial freedom to be able to do what you want to do. So that's really some of the biggest I guess selling points, if you will, of starting your own business versus going and working for someone.
Yeah, that's so true. Especially if you're a parent, right? You want to be there for your children without someone dictating when you should go and when not. So
Yeah,
thank
that
you
can be
for
very
that.
frustrating.
Yeah, it is. So what is hard about starting a private practice as a PT? Can you share your experience with this area?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But can you simplify things? Absolutely. You can simplify things if you know the right steps and if your head is in the right place. But what is difficult about starting? You know what? It's knowing that you can see the mountaintop and you can get there, but you know that it's a long hike to get there. It reminds me of the time that I went and I hiked the Grand Canyon, and I had hiked it before, and this was probably about the third or fourth time hiking it in about a 2-month period. And I was down at the bottom, and I was with some people who it was their first time, and I remember standing at the bottom, looking up, thinking, "Oh, I do not want to do this. I've already done it so many times in the past couple months. I do not want to do this." But I knew I could get there. I knew we were going to get there. But it's the thought of like, oh, what you've got to go through to get there. That's one thing that's hard. Another thing that's hard for a lot of people is trusting yourself. Trusting yourself that you can make something work, something that you've never done before, that you're going to be able to make it viable and be able to support yourself and your family or your future family. Up until that point, we're so used to being in school and everything taken care of for us, maybe from our parents or by the school or whatever, but everything was structured and everything was kind of handed to us. And, in society, what we do is we conform and we go and we start a job. And so we're used to, walking in every day and, hey, wow, patients are on my schedule. Oh, wow, I have health insurance. Oh, wow, I go on vacation. I'm still getting paid. That's so cool. But to not have that assurance anymore, and to trust that you can build something that's going to give you those things, that that's really hard. And then really the third thing that I think is tough for people starting out, aside from knowing that I got a long road to hoe, even though you can hoe it, um, believing in yourself, knowing that you know what, you can attract people and you do make a difference in people's lives and you can make this work. The third thing that I think is important is being able to drown out the naysayers. That's probably one of the biggest things, or actually the first two that I mentioned are huge, but the third thing is drowning out the naysayers. They'll Dr. Elena, there'll never be a shortage of people to tell you what you cannot do. And when you start sharing your dreams with people, unfortunately it's just human nature for people to want to kind of beat that down, and to tell you that it can't be done or it's a stupid idea. One, because they've never thought of it, or they've never tried it, or they were afraid to try it because they were afraid that they couldn't make it work. And unfortunately, it's just kind of human nature that, hey, if I'm afraid, I'm going to make sure you're afraid. If I didn't do it, I'm going to make sure that you don't do it. Because if I wasn't successful, I really don't want to see you successful. And that's unfortunately that exists, in our culture. So it's being able to drown out the naysayers, and the naysayers, some of the strongest naysayers, unfortunately, can come from your deepest inner circles. So it's being able to drown that out and listen to the right people who you need to be listening to in order to grow your business. Believing that you can make this work, trusting that it's going to work, and then again, just overcoming the inertia, if you will, of going from nothing to building something.
Wow, that is really true. Like, especially the part about the naysayers, whether you be there or not, they always have something to say. Not nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so.
When I started, I have a mobile practice that I still see a few clients. I started in 2013, and when I started it, I started as cash base, and I heard a lot of naysaying from colleagues, a lot of naysaying from family and friends, a lot of naysaying from family of, oh, you're going to leave this secure job, for an unknown paycheck. So you have to be able to drown that out.
That's true. Yeah, and it's helpful to be surrounded with like-minded people, such as your group, the Uncaged Clinician.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we got the hard part out. Now, what is your best 5 advice for physical therapists who would like to get started opening their private practice?
Yeah. Number one, Dr. Elena, is being solid in your foundations. And that's something that we teach in our program. And there are 4 components to the foundations. Number one is really having a firm understanding of your why. Why do you want to start a business for yourself? What's in it for you and your family? And I'll give people a little tip here. A lot of times we hear, well, because I want to treat people the way that I want to treat them, and I want to give the type of care that people deserve. And those are wonderful reasons. But I want people who are watching and listening, I want them to understand that that's not really your why. Those things, treating people the way that you want to treat them and giving them the treatment that they deserve, that is what you do. That is what you do. But what's the why behind it? What's in it for you? And you've got to understand your why and be selfish to it, because that's what's going to get you through some hard times. Your foundations are, do you have any limiting beliefs and self-doubts? Do you lack confidence? In the book, I talk about that, that you mentioned that, you can go through the right action steps, but if you don't do it with the right frame of mind, then you're not going to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. All right. So you've got to be confident in what you're doing. You've got to believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, again, like if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in your product, and if, let's say you're cash base and someone asks you what your price is, and let's just say, your price is $150. If you don't have confidence in that what you have to provide is worth that, it's going to come across in how you say it. And so it's going to be tough to make that sell. So it's overcoming, and that's just one example of a limiting belief or self-doubt, but overcoming limiting beliefs and self-doubts. Third is knowing who you want to help and the problems that you help them solve. Because people are going to be, attracted by the clarity of what you do, not the vagueness, but the clarity. And then finally, it's understanding what your gift is to give to the world and how it is that you help people. And those are just foundations. So I lump those all in the one thing. If I can cheat here, all right, because I'm probably going to have a longer list than 5. But really be, in your foundations and recognizing that, you don't need to spend a lot of money on social media ads. You don't have to have a fancy EMR system. You don't have to have a beautiful website in order to get started, right? You just need to know who you help and the problems you help them with. You just need to have conversations, all right, for getting started. Something that, number 2, something that I had to learn early on when I started my business is that, number 1, comparison is the thievery of dreams. Comparison is the thievery of dreams. I had to learn to not compare myself to what other people were doing or how well they were doing. And I also had to recognize that, I don't have to be doing what everybody else is doing. I need to do me. And I also had to recognize that, everybody's success looks differently and success occurs at different times. I kind of compare it to like running a half marathon, for example, which I used to do. All right. At the beginning of the race, everybody has the goal of running 13.1 miles. Some people get there in an hour and a half. Some people take more than 3 hours to get there. But you know what? At the end of 13.1, everybody gets a finisher's medal. Everybody gets a bagel. Everybody gets chocolate milk. Everybody gets Gatorade. All right. But everybody gets to that point at different times. So you just have to run your race and focus on your race and you'll get there. All right. Don't wait for perfect. That'd be number 3. Don't wait for perfect. Like I said, you don't have to have the perfect EMR. You don't have to have the perfect website in order to get started. I'm not saying you don't need those things at some point. I'm just saying you don't need those things to get started. And, I've had this conversation with a couple of students today where, a lot of therapists love to be perfectionists and they love for everything to be wrapped up in a nice, neat package with a pretty bow. But success doesn't follow a sequential order. Success follows taking action. And perfect is the enemy to done. So don't wait for perfect, and I'll ask students this sometimes. I'll say, let me ask you this, like for your birthday, did you get packages that were wrapped up nice and neat? Yeah, I did. Okay, great. Did you ever get something like a bike for your birthday or something that was big that maybe your parents kept, in the garage and they had you close your eyes and then they brought the present in? They're like, yeah, I got, a bike or a big dollhouse or whatever. So let me ask you this. Were you less excited for that present that wasn't wrapped than you were for the presents that were wrapped up neatly? And they say, no, usually I was more excited for the present that wasn't wrapped up. I said, there you go. See, your clients, they don't want perfect. They're not waiting for perfect. They're just waiting for you to be able to share with them how you can help them. So keep that in mind when you get started. All right. Recognize that conversations, this would be number 4, actually probably about number 12 of a 5 part question. But conversations lead to sales. That's what you need to know for getting started. Conversations lead to sales. I like to say, that's when you become a politician. You got to shake hands and kiss babies. Just have conversations with people. That's what it's all about. And then finally, if you have belief in yourself, if you have passion for what you do, if you've got grit and you have persistence, those 4 things, you're going to be successful. I promise. And I'm going to add a little bonus in here, although I gave you probably about 27 things. But a little bonus is, if you're wanting to do something, seek out someone who has done what you want to do, or they are doing what you want to do, and they're ahead of you. Seek that person out and get them to help you, get them to mentor you, get them to coach you. And it doesn't matter whether it's free or you pay for it, but seek out help for someone to guide you, to help you through the storms. Now, I will say this. I don't care if it's for free or you pay someone, but I have seen this. When you invest in yourself, when you have skin in the game, you're more likely to follow the ideas that are being given to you. You know, Dr. Elena, one of the wisest things who ever said to me was that no one's life was ever significantly changed by free. So you know, free advice is fine. I'm not knocking that, but just recognize that, you know what, the more skin you have in the game, the more progress you're going to get, the more you're going to achieve. And actually what it comes back to is that as you invest in you, people are willing to invest in you. So that would be my 5 things. I know that's a long list, but
wow. Yeah, I was just like blown away because whatever you said is just like we are aligned in what I believe in too. You know, in that investing, like mostly they will be looking for that high paid client and it never come. But if you have to step back and look into yourself, have you invested towards your business? Yeah?
Yes.
And also the last the second to last of the 30 numbers you said, like walk in the path of someone that's ahead of the game.
Right.
You know, that's
right.
Yeah, like everything you said, actually we're aligned, and we didn't talk about it, but I was just like, yes, like oh my, I'm just like, woo.
You know, I would like to point out one thing, and if I could just be so bold as to say this, is that, you know, I see this all the time, is that clinicians unwilling to invest in themselves, unwilling to spend money on themselves, but yet they get frustrated when people won't pay them top dollar. Or they want to find the cheapest TheraBand to buy, when really you could buy a roll of TheraBand for like $30.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or the cheapest health insurance to buy, when you think of it, even if you get the most expensive one, you know, that's the cost of like maybe 5 patient visits for the year. You know, but when I see people who they want to be cheap, they don't want to invest in themselves, but they get frustrated and angered when people won't spend money on them. And so I just think that's kind of an interesting dichotomy there.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that's really something to ponder upon for our listeners here. Yeah. So my next question, David, is, do you think it is wise to start a private practice when you just recently graduate, or 1 or 2 years?
I tell you, Dr. Elena, that's kind of a hot topic. And I've seen that recently, where someone was talking about that, and it's a great question. I'm glad you asked. And first of all, can a new grad start a clinic? Absolutely. Is it right or the best time for someone to start? I think there's some factors that depend there. All right. You know, someone could be a new grad and they could be solid with their foundations. They could have a lot of confidence. They could be really good at having conversations with people. They could be not afraid to approach someone and to share what they're about. And if they happen to be a new grad, great. I mean, I know people who have been 10 years out, and you know what? Their limiting beliefs and self-doubts are just through the roof. Deathly afraid to do a Facebook Live, you know, to put themselves out there. So, you know, you can't say, well, you know, you've been a therapist for 10 years, so you're right to build your business. You know, if you're lacking some of those things, you absolutely can overcome them. But the point being, you know, to get to the question of, can a new grad start? Yeah, absolutely. But I think it depends on that person, where they might be developmentally, if you will, you know, mentally, with their mind. And, you know, also when you think about it, Dr. Elena, and I see this all the time, is, and I'm excited for these people who they come out of school, they pass the boards, and they post that, hey, I got a job, you know, with company X, and you know, there's the hope, there's the promise or the assurance that within 6 months I'm going to be a director at a new location that they're going to open. And that is great, man. I mean, I'm excited for them. But here's my question. If you can take someone who at that point is still really a new grad, if you can have them run a clinic and they're responsible for the marketing and all that stuff, well, then wouldn't it seem reasonable that that person could probably like do it on their own?
Absolutely, right?
So can a new grad do it? Absolutely. But I do think it probably takes the right person
Yeah.
to be successful. But I think a lot of people focus on, well, but you're still learning your craft. You're still learning how to be a therapist, still learning skills. And let me tell you, I mean, I've been a therapist for 27 years. I still take content courses because you're never going to know it all. You're always going to be learning, number one. All right. You're always going to be learning. And I know I had another point to that. Hopefully I'll remember what it was, but, coming out of school, enough then to make a difference in people's lives. And I think that gets lost. Enough coming out of school to make a difference in someone's life, because the people who are helping, most of them probably have never even had an anatomy class. So you don't have to be the best therapist or the perfect therapist to start a practice. And I remember now what I was going to say is that there's this notion that you've got to have all this talent to help someone. You don't have to have all the letters to help someone. I mean, you should have some skill, not be a total bobo, but enough to help someone out of school. I had someone who he has his fellowship, his OCS, and all that. And I was talking to him, and he said, I want to start my business, but I need help. He said, and here's what I realized. I got my OCS and I got my fellowship, which I commend people who do that. I mean, I didn't do it. It takes a lot of work and a lot of brain power, and I commend you. But I had this person who has all those initials, and he said, you know what? As I started thinking about starting a business, I realized that all of that doesn't matter. To my audience, that doesn't matter. That didn't attract my audience. And so as a new grad, can you learn how to have conversations? Can you learn the principles of building a successful practice? Absolutely. And that's what's most important, I think.
Ooh, another knowledge bomb right there. Yeah. Now I'm going to put you in another difficult question here. Would you rather open up your physical therapy practice that offers other rehabilitation disciplines, PT, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and chiropractors, or would you rather specialize only on the PT aspect?
Whew. That's a humdinger right there. I tell you what, that's a great question. And in the now, where I spend most of my time, my energy coaching other people, I'm not sure what I'd want to build. But looking back on it, it would be easy on the surface to say, you know what, I'd rather just focus on my PT business and build that. That would be the easy answer. But the challenging answer to myself or to anyone else would be this: what is my mission? What do I really want to do for people and for the community? And my motto, if you will, of my mobile practice was always move, live, life. And I always said I like to bring the playground back into people's lives. So if I really wanted to fulfill that mission, then I would want for people to have the best possible resources for whatever they needed to get better. And it might be the talent of a PT. It might be the talent of an OT. Maybe they need speech. Maybe they need a chiro to get where they want to be. So if I really wanted to fulfill my mission to the fullest, then I would want to have a facility that was all encompassing of everything, so that I could truly provide for people what they needed.
That's true. So it still go back to your mission. You go back to that. Yeah, very well said. So now I'm not gonna put you anymore in a difficult spot. I think I did ask you two hot topics. So now, what does online marketing mean to you, David?
Online marketing, I look at that as a means to reach out to people in through some sort of medium. It might be social media, Facebook, Instagram. It may be ads. It could be email campaigns. Honestly, it could be print ads. in newspapers or magazines or newsletters. But it's reaching out to people through some sort of a digital means, we'll call it. I realize, like, newspaper might not be digital. I mean, you can get the newspaper digital version, but it might be more of a print type thing. But that's how I see online marketing, is that everything is done virtually, if you will, which for me, in my opinion, takes away a personal element to it. It can take away, even though, like, say, with a Facebook Live, your personality can come through, but I think that you still lose an element of looking at someone eye to eye, as you would having a conversation with someone, meeting them face to face. But that's how I look at online marketing, and not in a bad way. But I just look at it as, reaching everyone through some sort of a medium.
Yeah. So it really requires more of effort on your end. But I'm
Right.
so happy to meet you. We haven't met in person, but we were able to connect through online. So that's nice. And that, for our viewers here, thank you for watching us. If you're watching on replay, drop #replay. And if you want access to the show notes, make sure you drop the word show notes, and I can give you a nice typewritten one. And before we wrap up, let me say a quick hi to our friend Michael Hyland of Hyland Physiotherapy and Wellness. He is Parkinson's disease expert in the field, and I think he's in one of the group of Uncaged Clinician. He is a member, correct, David?
He is. I know Dr. Michael Hyland quite well.
Doctor.
Good guy.
Yes, he said hi, Captain. Hi, Captain.
I call him Dr. Michael Hyland. It's all one word, Dr. Michael Hyland. So he's a great guy over there in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So
yeah, very nice guy, and expert on his field of
yes, he is.
Parkinson's disease specialty. So now we are going into our recap. This will be our recap. Okay, so we will go fast on this aspect. Now, I will clap, and that I will do my spiel. Private practice. What does it entail? Well, in this video, we will talk about private practice for physiotherapists. So if you want to start your private practice in physiotherapy, then we have our special guest tonight, David Bayliff, PT, Master in Physiotherapy of Uncaged Clinician, and he will help you with his best advice to understand what it takes to start your own private practice. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome David Bayliff.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Elena.
Take it away.
So yeah, starting your own practice, man, you got to know who you want to serve, the problems that you help them with. And you got to have conversations with people. Recognize that conversations lead to sales. Those are 3 big tips for you right there.
Wow, that's so true. And that it's my pleasure to have you. I know we kind of went over time. I've been put you aside to join me here away from your colleagues and your clients. I'm so grateful for your time, David. So that before we sign off, I want to express our audience again. Thank you for spending a moment of your day with us, whether you're watching live and replay. And if there's anything that I can help you here at Focal Point Matters Digital, me and my team are here to serve you, whether you would need a website development or automation for your business and marketing consulting, me and my team are here for you. And that, David, where can our listeners find you online?
Dr. Elena, probably the 2 easiest places on Facebook, just David Bayliff on Facebook. Instagram, I am the Mobile PT Biz Coach.
Yoo-hoo! That was quick to remember. Okay. So thank you. And again, thank you, everyone. It's our honor with me and our guest here. We appreciate your time for joining us tonight. Once again, this is Dr. Elena Matiga, physiotherapist, owner and founder of Focal Point Matters, and I'm your digital marketing phoenix. Bye for now.